So where we are right now is basically the junction between the Expressway and Southern Bypass. Nairobi, because of the traffic, was planned in such a way that you would have a Nairobi circular made up of 4 bypasses. The first bypass, Southern Bypass, from Kikuyu to where we are right now. And then from here you drive to City Cabanas. You join what we call the Eastern Bypass, which ends up in Roiro, a distance of 31 kilometers. And then from Roiro, you drive towards Ruaka, which is what we call the Northern Bypass. Until now, the missing link was from Ruaka to Gitaru on the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway. That project is called Western Bypass, and it's about 90% complete. So what we are saying is that within the next 3 to 4 months, all the bypasses in Nairobi will be completed. As you recall, the Southern Bypass was commissioned a few years ago. Actually, we had President Magufuli was the chief guest. And then, of course, the Eastern Bypass was done a few years ago as well, I think around 2014. But because of congestion, we are also planning to dwell that section from City Cabanas all the way to Roiro. A contractor has been given that job already, and it's important because it connects to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The importance of these bypasses are very many. Number one, in terms of mobility of Kenyans or travelers within and around the city of Nairobi, you can use the bypasses without having to go into the city of Nairobi. For example, this Southern Bypass next to us here, you can join from Kikuyu, go towards Gong, and then go towards Isinya, all the way to the Namanga Highway, which I explained earlier is part of the Great North Road. Then you don't have to come to Nairobi. Then the Southern Bypass, if you want to go now towards Jomo Kenyatta Airport, you don't have to go through Westlands. You can use the Southern Bypass and come and join it here. From here, then you can go towards Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Then, of course, if you're going to the north of the country, you can actually use the Eastern Bypass and now go towards Mount Kenya. From Roiro, if you want to go to Rift Valley, you don't have to go to city of Nairobi. You can use actually the Northern Bypass. So this configuration was very, very important because Nairobi, as you know, is a regional hub in terms of industrial development, in terms of conferencing, business conferencing, and so it becomes more attractive if you create a configuration of bypasses which make sure that mobility is much more enhanced. And hence we thought it's important to come inspect the expressway, but also to confirm to Kenyans that on top of the expressway, we have the other bypasses which will make mobility around and within the city of Nairobi a lot better. Within 6 months, we said this express will be finished, and therefore the kind of inconvenience we have seen today, it's very short term. The pain is short term. For longer term gain, we are here this morning to inspect what is one of the largest trunk roads in our country. We are studying at Athi River interchange of what we call the project from Machakos to Athi River. But what we like to emphasize is that this is just one segment of the entire corridor which we have from Mombasa all the way to Malabar. We have like 6 key segments of this particular trunk corridor. From Mombasa to Machakos turnoff, that's one of the major segments, about 500 kilometers. And then we have from Machakos turnoff to Athi River turnoff, which is a separate project, and which currently is about 78% complete. What is remaining is actually to do the interchanges, and then it to be finished. That's the second one. The third one is from Athi River Turnoff all the way to James Gishuru, which is the new highway, expressway, which we are going to do. And that is about 64% complete, all the way to James Gishuru. And then from James Gishuru, another project from there, going all the way to Rironi, which is about now 93% complete. And then from Rironi, go all the way to Mau Summit, a distance of about 175 kilometers, but also with a loop going around Naivasha, in total 233 kilometers, from Rironi to Mau Summit. That's the third segment. The last segment is from Mau Summit to Malabar, which is a project we are negotiating with partners on how it to be done. So that is what you call the Northern Corridor, from Mombasa all the way to Malabar. And you can see our focus is to make sure that no segment is left behind without being completed. Where we are starting is very critical because it is this Athi River turnoff or interchange. It is actually joining two critical Trans-Africa highways. This one from Mombasa to Malabar, I talked about, but also at Athi River interchange is where you have the connection or intersection with what we call the Great North Road. The Great North Road starts from Cairo to Egypt. And coming from Tanzania, Namanga, that section to Athi River is part of that Great North Road. Then at Athi River, it joins now the Northern Corridor to the city of Nairobi up to Museum Turnoff. From Museum Turnoff, it goes towards the north, all the way to Moyale, the Thika Highway, then all the way Keno, Sagana, Maroa, Nanyuki, Isiolo, all the way to Moyale. That is part of the Great North Road. So you can see the configuration we have today here actually reflects not just our intra-country infrastructure, but actually intra-Africa infrastructure. And our idea is to make sure that we do not leave any part of the country behind. From here, we have two segments to Malabar, which is from here to Mau Summit. That's one segment, the fifth segment. And then the final segment is from Mau Summit all the way to Malabar. If we never did this road, to a carriageway, what it will mean is that all the investment you would have done on an expressway will not amount to much because the traffic jams. Then you start from there, from James Gishuru. James Gishuru will become a major bottleneck because this road will not be able to take the same traffic which was being taken by expressway. Hence, we have to do this in the highest standard, to make sure that the traffic flow is seamless. If we didn't do this road now from here, going back towards Nairobi, what it will mean is that when Vinci Highways, who are doing this road from here to Mau Summit, do the during of this road, then this will be a major bottleneck going back towards Nakuru. And so this ring road between here and James Gishuru was critically important. It also serves a very key link, if you noticed, from here to Kagemi, which is very heavily populated, to make sure that there was no issue in terms of movement of traffic. It is 93% complete. The only bit which is outstanding is the bit from Kagemi to James Gishuru. And that one I'm told it to be done. There were issues to do with water relocation, which now has been done. And therefore, the contractor who is here have assured us that to be finished within the next few months. Then where we are starting here, it will be a very critical interchange. Because from here, if you go towards the left, towards the south, this is the road which goes to Mai Mahiu. Mahio, all the way to Nakuru, Naivasha. So in addition to the main trunk of the road, Vansi Highways also will do this 57-kilometer route, going towards Mahio and towards Nakuru, so that when there are trucks going down towards Mahio escarpment, we don't have a problem. And then this road, of course, from here to Mau Summit is 175 kilometers, which will be done toward at highest possible standards. Across the corridor, there will be interchanges, including a viaduct, which is elevated bridge, like Expressway, going through Nakuru City. This is actually will be a historic project because, like I said, it will be the largest in Africa, done at a PPP. The reasons for doing this expressway were manifold. Number one, for the last 2 decades or 3 decades, we've all seen ourselves the congestion which has clogged this road all the way from Jomo Kenyatta Airport, even beyond to the river, going all the way to Westlands. We did a census in 2018 of vehicles passing through Jomo Kenyatta Airport coming this way, and we counted 60,000 vehicles. That's why you find people living that side. They would wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning. So the congestion of this road was one of the reasons why we had to do it. The second reason why we did it is because we wanted our transport infrastructure to be properly integrated. And when I say transport, it's road transport, it's aviation, meaning the airlines, and also the SGR, because these are major investments in the transport sector. So whereas we had a very good functioning Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, whereas we just completed the SGR, but then there was a missing link in terms of the road infrastructure from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. So we decided to make sure that we support the aviation sector by having this road, which, as you know, has got actually a link road into the terminus, into Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And then we also got a link road from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport going across to Syokimau Station, which will be by way of a rail, which will be doing a rail connection from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport into Syokimau. That way you can now connect Jomo Kenyatta International Airport with the SGR. When we have tourists flying in from wherever they are coming from, they land, they get the link to Syokimau, they get the SGR, then they can take the train to Mombasa, or they can take the train to Naivasha. Or if they are coming for a business conference, they can take now this expressway which we are on from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport all the way to Nairobi CBD. That integrated transport system was critical for us to make sure Nairobi becomes the premier hub, not just in Eastern Africa, but Eastern and Central, and even across Africa. We have employed 6,000 young men and women who have been trained by the contractor on this very technical job. At least 6,000. We are spending about 20 billion shillings on local content. So people supplying materials, and so the small businesses which we have, supplying sand, supplying, steel, they have benefited a lot. Where we are right now is a section between museum and James Gishoro. Our objective, and we have agreed with the contractor, they'll finish this job by end of February, so that we only got one more Christmas where we shall struggle. Thereafter, we shall have a very clear, enjoyable infrastructure to enjoy in the city of Nairobi. Finish the job by end of February, test these bridges between March and April, and then the target is to have the president commission this road in April next year. It's been done at record time, but at higher standard. We are privileged as a country, the only host in Global South of a United Nations headquarters, Igigili, UNEP, and all those other offices of the UN. Now, one of the considerations to have such a very prestigious institution or installation is to have a proper road network. And what we done is to make sure that, God forbid, in terms of emergencies, we can have evacuation routes which are seamless. And one of them is actually this one. This one, which goes to James Gishoro. James Gishoro, the road goes towards Red Hill and towards Gigiri. So within a few months, you can have a very seamless movement of traffic from United Nations using this route to the airport. The other exit route is from this Thika Superhighway to Ruiru. And then, like I said earlier, we are also dualing the Eastern Bypass, so that now from Gigiri, diplomats can now get to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport within a span of about 20-25 minutes. And that is critical in making sure we sustain the head office of the UN in this country. So these investments are not just commercial, but also they help in our diplomacy.
This project is probably one of those that showcase Kenya as now the PPP destination in Africa. For the simple reason, many PPP projects have not taken off because they thought Kenya was too risky. They thought that our projects are not bankable, our law is too complicated, our compensation framework is so complex. But this project, as the minister says, the president, the team went for the Forum for China Summit in 2018. This discussion about decongesting Nairobi, recognizing that we are losing 100 billion shillings a year to traffic jams. The president was determined to find a solution for this problem, and knowing very well that taking additional debt was not an option. He challenged the ministry and said, look, you guys have to find us another way to finance this project. And the PPP project was birthed. They have been working 24 hours non-stop from October 15th, 2019. They've managed to cut down the time from 4 years to 2 years. They have employed hundreds of Kenyans. All those people you see doing this work are Kenyans like you and I. They are being paid, they are feeding their families, and all this is money that is PPP. No debt from the government, yet this project will be executed. It will be carrying over 70,000 vehicles per day. It will help to decongest the city. The inconvenience that is currently being experienced by Nairobi residents it will be short-lived. It will end, and what we will have is a road network that Nairobians can use to expand their businesses, to improve their connectivity, to just improve their usability of the city, and most critically, for those passing through the city, now they have multiple options.